Differently from shadows, reflection doesn't really cares about lighting direction. And so what can we do with reflection? We can basically understand, first of all, where the object is going to be reflected. So let's suppose for a second that this bush is going to be reflected on the ground, okay? Now, the direction of the reflection of this bush will be always following the normal of this ground plane. And the normal is that imaginary arrow that start from the center of a face and goes up 90 degrees from the plane itself. Okay, so the reflection of an object placed on this plane will always follow this line here. Of course, is going on the other way around. Okay, so the reflection is going down. And we need to say something about where the reflection will start. Okay, because the most common mistake is to duplicate an object and then flip it vertical. So Ctrl T, right click, flip vertical, and then move the reflection down here at this point. Now, this is incredibly wrong. And the reason is the reflection of this object doesn't start from this point here. Okay, so if we look at the same object from, I would say, the side view, we will see something like this. We will see, this is the ground, and here we have the bush, right? And here we are looking at the bush. If we do something like this, then it looks like the reflection is doing something like this. And this is completely off. This is completely wrong. Okay, so in order to generate a nice reflection, a correct reflection, the object reflection should look like this. And so we need to know the thickness, once more time, we need to know the thickness of the object, okay, on the ground. And then this basically need to be pushed upwards and is going to, you need to match the same thickness, okay? So this have to be down there, of course, below the original photo. And so these part of the bush have to match the other way, the other side, and this point here, which is the thickness, the overall thickness of the bush. And this is the right way to generate, a reflection. Of course, this is a fake reflection. Every reflection you are going to make, just flipping vertically an image, it's a fake reflection. Is not 100% right, when it's not 100% true, but sometimes it's enough, because most of the time the reflection we have, I don't know, maybe is distorted, maybe is blurred, maybe is not completely recognizable. So it's enough, but at least just move the reflection in the right place, which is you need to take in consideration the thickness of the object. Okay, so just forget about something like this, because this is not true. This is not correct. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we are going to take everything we have done here with the bush. Of course, we need to hide this layer here. And because I don't have any reflection here, we don't see any reflection here on the grass itself, we are going to take this group and we're going to move the group behind the building now, like there, okay? One thing you need to remember before you move a group with some content inside, you need to remember that if you don't want to get mass results, or you don't want to have mistakes, you need to scroll down and look at each layer with a mask like these, and each layer with a mask need to be linked to the mask itself. Okay, because if you forgot to do the link, to make the link, and then you move the content, this mask will stay exactly where it is, and the result is going to be wrong. Okay, so please take a look about every layer with a mask and just link it back. And then when it's over, you can close the group and press Ctrl J, and it will make a duplicate. Now we don't need this mask anymore, the mask of the grass. We don't need it, so we delete it. We take this new bush and we move it there. Now you can choose to keep this in this folder or move the bush at the bottom inside the background folder, because it's actually behind the building. Okay, so it's up to you. If you keep it here, you need to mask it, and if something change, you need to update the mask. Otherwise, if you move it down here inside the background, you don't have to do anything at all, because the render, it's on top of it, and that's it. Okay, it makes more sense. But the problem is, in a minute, when we are going to create the reflection, which is going in this direction, because this is the plane which is reflecting, and the normal of this plane is looking up, so the reflection, it will go in this way, looking down. But this is on top. The reflection will be on top of the render, so we need to duplicate this again, and move it again on top in the props folder, and do the rest of the things so we need to do. So, but anyway, here we go. And of course, now this bush is far away from us, so we need to press Ctrl T and shrink it down. We get a message, it's telling us, okay, while you are resizing this group, probably some of the smart filters will not be visible. Okay, and they will be visible again once you press enter, because you said, okay, I like this size and I want to keep it here. So when we press enter, then some adjustment will update. Now I like the position here, and what I want to do is I want to match a little bit more the color of the grass there. So I'm opening it, and I'm probably going down with the opacity of this layer, which was the layer that gave us the color of this kind of orange grass. So as you can see now, it's kind of working. And what you need to do here, in order to make the reflection of this, if you want to, get an easier life, I would say, you can just make a new layer, select a new layer which is empty, and this bush which is here, and then press Ctrl Alt E, and it will produce a new layer. Okay, now in different version of Photoshop, you will get this content inside this layer, because Photoshop recognized that this layer is empty. But anyway, now we have this new layer, okay, which is a copy of the actual bush, as you can see, with the shadows and all. We don't care. And we convert this into a smart object, not because we want to resize it or anything, but because we are going to apply a blur on this layer, and we want the blur to be a smart blur in order to mask it differently depending on if it's on the swimming pool or on the patio there. So I'm going to take this thing here, and I'm going to bring it here inside the props folder. Okay, it's under the grass because I'm going to flip this, and I don't want these reflection to go over the grass, so I'm keeping it there. But of course, we need some, we need some mask now. Okay, we need some mask now because we don't want this reflection to be on top of the original bush. So what we do, we go into masks, we open mask, and we need these two. Okay, so we need the green and the blue. So Control click on blue, and then Control Shift click on green to add the selection by masks, and then we can mask this layer. And as you can see now, I probably moved, so I can just go back on the original position. If I unlink the mask from the content, when I'm done, when I feel like it's the right place, I can link this again. And because it's a smart object, now I can go for filters, blur, and we can go for a Gaussian blur or a motion blur, because from this point of view, the blur will be stretched in perspective. So motion blur is good anyway. And of course, we need to, select this kind of direction. All right. And I'm going to add a little bit of distance here. Not too much, probably. I don't like it. Probably we can just go with, we should go with the blur gallery field blur, because then I can decide exactly where and how much I want the blur to modify the reflection, but I will stay with the Gaussian one just to make it simple. Okay, sorry. And then I press OK. And then I need to take away these filter from the swimming pool. So I'm going back on the masks. And this time I'm going to select only the blue one, because it's the swimming pool, the water. And then I go and invert this selection in the water. And so I have my my reflection very neat. And then I can just go with darken mode, because I want this to be visible only on the white areas. Okay, cool. And I feel like this is too strong. Okay, so I can, I can go and just manually select only the patio, the green one. And then go back here on the mask and paint with a dark value, but maybe with a low opacity. See? And now it's better. One thing we are missing is the actual shadow of this new bush here on the patio, and we need to do that because we have it, of course. So what we can do is to make a new group. Here we can close this into a group. We can call this one bush number 2, 02 plus shadow. So it's bush number 2 reflection plus shadow. And then we can have the shape of the bush. Maybe we can take, the original one, or we can take the mask we have here. See, we can make a copy, bring the copy out inside here. We close this group here. We don't need it anymore. And then we move the mask, the shadow on the right here. We take away the filters. We make it smaller. Can put in multiply. Make it a little bit darker. And of course, we need these masks. This shadow to be only on the patio, so we need again the same mask, the same green mask, this one. But I prefer to put this mask on a group, so I make another subgroup. I put the mask on the group, because then I want to be able to get a mask only for the shadow, because maybe I want to make it less strong here on, when it's far away from the bush. And so I can go with blur gallery, field blur. And again, we have the same problem as before. Yes, it's invisible. You see, it kind of crash. So I'm going to restart Photoshop, or again with motion blur. And then because we have a smart filter, I'm going to delete this effect from here. See, we have a little bit of sharpness here on the shadow, and then it gets blurry. I don't like the fact it's green, so I'm going with a hue saturation, and I'm going to desaturate it. Maybe we can make it brighter a little bit so it becomes kind of transparent. Okay, that's it.